Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron Channel. I'm Steve Shaw. In this video, I'm going to show you how to land in the top 1% of lifters. Before I get into this topic, if you need coaching, check out the link below. Coaching is what I do for a living. I would love to help. So I asked myself the question yesterday, what would it take to land in the top 1% of lifters? If I could give advice to you guys as to how to make it to that top 1%, all the lifters in the gym, what would that advice be? And that's what I'm going to present in this video. I'm going to give you 7 mindset changes that will help you get well ahead of the crowd. Now, when I say mindset changes, these are actionable things you can do when you're approaching your nutrition and your training that will be game changers. Now, the first thing we want to do is focus on lifts rather than programs. The modern lifting world is completely obsessed with the concept of programs. I put a lot of programs out myself. I put out programs just to give you guys options. But one of the most popular videos I made over the years was a video where I said, fuck your program. And that video contained a very important message. In that video, I said programs don't matter. Now, that can sound confusing to a lot of people, but I want to get you guys away from the idea of programs. Programs are a vehicle. They are a structure, and we need that vehicle and structure. But we can't become so obsessed with programs that we worship them and forget kind of the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that there are no magical programs. Every program contains basically the same lifts. You can look at 10 different programs or structure 10 different programs, and they're still going to use the lifts you prefer. So instead of focusing on programs, I want you during the next year to pick out 20 to 30 lifts you really are obsessed about and try to maximize every set on these lifts. Try to get the most you can out of these lifts and try to progress as much as you can during the next year on these 20 to 30 core lifts. Now, I'm not telling you only to do 20 to 30 lifts, but what I'm saying is find the lifts you're really passionate about and let's attack those during the coming year. And you can slice and dice those any way you want into any program, any structure, upper posterior, body part split, full body, doesn't matter. We're not worried about programs. We are shifting our focus from programs onto maximizing lifts. The average gym rat out there is going to do the opposite. They're going to look for the magic program, and when one aspect isn't working, they're going to jump to a new program and jump to a new program, and they're going to look to find the magic in the programming. We're going to shift that, and our mindset is going to be on maximizing our favorite lifts. All right, focus number 2, we are going to try to maximize the amount of time we are in a bulk over the course of the coming year. If you can keep yourself in a calorie surplus as much as possible during the coming year, the next 12 months, you are going to maximize the muscle building process. Now, the average gym rat out there, they are not maximizing their bulking. They are not maximizing their calorie surplus. They're having up and down weeks, they're having up and down months, but there's no consistency. And this is one of the biggest things that is working against them to build muscle. We're going to change that. We're going to really dial this in. We're going to focus as much on nutrition as we do on lifting. I want you to focus on what I call hyper-precise bulking. We're going to try to gain about 2.5 pounds a month, and we want to focus on trying to bulk about 10 months out of the year. I also want to encourage you guys to insert 2 one-month cutting periods where we can kind of pull back a little bit on weight. During these periods, I want you to be aggressive. I want you to get in and lose 8, 10, 12 pounds. If you do this, you're going to lose anywhere from 15 to maybe 24 pounds during your 2 cutting periods. This will offset any real fat gain you put on during your bulks. Just remember, the more time you spend in a bulk, the more you're going to get out of your hard training. So we don't want to do fat bulks here. We don't want to do aggressive bulks. We want to be very precise with our calorie monitoring. We want to be consistent with our calorie intake. We want to stay within the range of gaining 2 to 3 pounds a month. Generally around 2.5 is more of a sweet spot, even down around 2.25. If you get lower around 2, you're kind of walking that fine line, but that's okay for a more intermediate lifter that's not going to gain muscle and strength as aggressively. So we're going to shift our focus from simply just randomly bulking and cutting to trying to maximize the bulking process over the course of the year, and that is going to require precision. All right, so pretty much everywhere you look, you're going to see strength standards for natural lifters. If we achieve these strength standards, there's a good chance that you're going to pack on mass, right? I put out strength standards myself, and these are reasonable goals, things to shoot for, but the pursuit of strength has almost invaded muscle building to the point where we focus on strength rather than maximizing sets. We certainly want to get strong, but we're going to shift our mindset here. Instead of chasing strength as the be-all, end-all, we're going to flip that mindset a little bit, and we're going to chase maximizing sets. This is the essence of hard training. We're going to focus on hard training and getting the most out of a set as we can. And from this, we're going to get our plus ones, our repetitions, and in this lane, in this muscle building lane, we are going to build muscle. My first book, Massive Iron, came out almost 11 years ago. And in that book, I talked about a very simple concept. If you maximize every set, you maximize your workouts. If you maximize your workouts, you maximize the muscle building process. Pretty simple, but the focus was on maximizing a set, getting the most you can out of every set. If you can keep this focus and do it safely and wisely, because we don't want to do anything reckless, we want to practice safe sets, then you are going to naturally increase your strength, but your focus will be more on muscle building, getting the most out of a set, rather than just arbitrarily chasing strength standards and thinking once you get there, you're going to be a mass monster. All right, this mindset focus is probably going to be the most confusing and likely the most controversial, but hear me out. I love the squats and deadlifts. I love the Romanian deadlifts. I love the good mornings, but we need to shift our focus from being obsessed with these lifts as the primary drivers of muscle building. We need to change that where we're focused on non-posterior chain movements as the primary drivers of muscle building. Let me explain what I mean here, because this is probably going to sound confusing. I love the squat and deadlift. Anybody that's watched my videos over the years knows that I've done endless number of squat and deadlift sets, and I love these lifts. But one thing coaching has taught me is that there's a learning curve to these posterior movements. They're not just going to the gym, knock them out, get a lot out of them, and you're good to go. It doesn't work like that in the real world. These are technical lifts. These are lifts that take time to master. And while you are mastering these lifts, you're not getting a lot out of them. So if we place these posterior chain lifts as like the be-all, end-all of our programming, like the cornerstones of our muscle building program, before we have form down, before we are getting a lot out of them, all we're doing is wasting a lot of time, gym time, wasting a lot of energy, and we're not getting a lot out of our programming. Now, I'm not telling you to not do these lifts, but they need to be in the periphery. We can't place too much of our time and energy on these lifts. We have to work on them in the periphery, but we have to keep our mindset focused on the 80-90% of other lifts. Those are the ones we really want to attack, the non-technical lifts. Those are going to be our bread and butter for hypertrophy, for muscle building, until we get our posterior chain lifts up to speed. And then we can click those into place into our programming. Not that they aren't there before, but we can put them into a position where we confidently know they're going to drive solid aspects of muscle building. And then we can have a well-rounded program that includes a focus on these lifts. This is a complete mindset change from where we've been the last 10 to 12 years. And again, I'm not against these lifts at all, but the mindset was that we need to focus on squats. We need to focus on deadlifts. These are the be-all, end-all. These are the things that are going to drive hypertrophy. These are the kings and queens of the lifting world. They are great movements. But until you nail your form on these and get really good workable form, you're not getting a lot out of them. You're not getting quad development. Really, all you're doing is hammering your lower back. So We want to work on these in the periphery, but not make them our primary focus for muscle building until you feel extremely confident that your form is nailed. All right, here's another mindset focus that we really need to take seriously, because in the modern landscape in YouTube fitness or influencer fitness, there's a lot of focus on splits. There's a lot of dogma when it comes to we have to train this way, we have to train that way, we have to use frequency, push-pull legs is okay, we can't do body part splits. People focus way too much on splits. We're going to change that mindset a little bit, and we're going to focus more on weekly volume. Lifting is a long-term process. You're going to have different seasons. Some seasons you can lift more, some seasons you can lift less. Some seasons you might want more recovery in between workouts. Some seasons you might want to try upper posterior. It's okay to mess around with different splits, but instead of obsessing with splits as a be-all, end-all, I want you always to keep your compass pointed north in this direction. In this case, north is focusing on weekly volume. What exactly does this mean? Well, people will come to me with questions like, is it okay if I put this lift here on this day? Is it okay if I do this on that day? And I will often tell them, as long as your weekly volume makes sense, as long as your weekly programming makes sense, it's okay. So regardless of what split you're using, push-pull legs, upper posterior, body part split, doesn't really matter. I want you to analyze the weekly volume per body part. You have your major areas of focus, which are chest, delts, back, and quads. Then your more minor areas of focus, which include hamstrings, arms, and other areas. When you are programming, just understand, as long as your weekly volume makes sense relative to these body parts, that you're hitting them in a reasonably balanced manner with quality lifts that have a progression opportunity, you're going to be fine. So moving forward, keep this mindset. We're going to focus on what the weekly picture looks like rather than what the magic split looks like. As long as things make sense from the context of a weekly basis, you are good to go. All right, another mindset focus. We're going to move the mindset from focusing on magical exercises to focusing on a quality grouping of exercises. During Massive Iron Live, which I do every Friday here on the channel at 11 Eastern, I get a lot of questions like this. Hey, big, hairy, ugly dude, what is better for quads? Front squats or back squats? What's better as an assistance exercise? Leg press or hack squats? Which is better, lunges or Bulgarians? There's a lot of either or questions. Lifters are eager to figure out what is the best exercise, what is the best choice for me. What I almost always tell them is the best choice is almost always both. If you like both exercises and you're not sure which one to include both, because the way you truly want to attack a body part or an area is more with a shotgun blast approach. You're going to hit it with a wide variety of quality exercises. You're going to hit it with squats, you're going to hit it with front squats, you're going to hit it with leg presses, you're going to hit it with hack squats, with Bulgarian split squats, with lunges. You can do some A-B splits, like week 1 I'm going to do squats, week 2 I'm going to do front squats, week 1 I'm going to do leg press, week 2 I'm going to do hack squats. You can kind of do that A-B split over the course of 2 weeks. You don't have to, but the point here is that if you want to attack a muscle group or an area, use the shotgun approach. We're going to focus on, instead of which exercise is magic, we're going to ask ourselves, what is a quality grouping of exercises I can put together that will really attack this area, exercises that I enjoy. Now, sometimes this list is too large. So in this case, when you have a list that is too large and you're asking yourself, well, I have one extra movement, I have to choose between back squats and front squats, I like too many quad building lifts, what do I do? In this case, you can put together an A-B split where you can do back squats 1 week, front squats the next. You're working both of these lifts. You're getting in a little bit of extra stress and tension from having this variety. It's only a good thing. Use the warfare approach. We're going to win the war by land, by sea, and by air. We're going to use in all the different tools, all the different exercises that we like. We're going to hammer that muscle group into submission, and it'll have no choice but to grow. All right, finally, but most importantly, we're going to focus on training evolution rather than training optimization. The current world of lifting is absolutely drunk on the concept of optimization, but I'm here to tell you optimization doesn't matter if it's not working for you in the gym. You need to focus on training evolution rather than optimization. This is really the key. When you go into the gym, and you're doing something like barbell rows and you don't like the 10 rep sets, you decide that 8 reps feels better, then you evolve your training. This is what I call evolving your training based on needs. You evolve your training based on what is going on in the gym. As long as it is reasonable, it's okay. Okay, you're doing barbell rows and you don't like the way they feel, so you decide to swap in pendlay rows. Is that a reasonable swap? Absolutely. You are evolving training based on needs. Some of the things I've done over the years, as my dumbbell rows got really heavy, I moved them down to 2 sets and eventually only 1 set of dumbbell rows per workout. Why did I do this? Number 1, because my rows were getting up to 200 pounds for 20 reps. And number 2, because the rest in between sets was taking forever. So you would see me, I would go into the gym on back day and I would do deadlifts and then I would do 1 set of dumbbell rows. Now, if somebody's watching me, they're going to scratch their head and think I'm an idiot. Why is he only doing 1 set of dumbbell rows? Aren't we supposed to do 3? Isn't 3 the magic number in the lifting world, right? What they don't understand is the reasoning. I evolved training based on needs. I evolved because I'd kind of capped out in weight and because it was taking a lot of recovery time. I decided to do 1 set, hold them steady, and use my time and energy on different back exercises. When you look at the final form of a training program, someone that's been lifting for 5 to 10 years, a very experienced lifter that has quality muscle and strength, there's a good chance you're going to look at their program and you're going to scratch your head and go, what the bleep? Some aspects just aren't going to make sense. And you aren't going to understand them because this person has been on a 5 to 10 year journey and they've been evolving programming based on needs. If they stuck into the optimization lane, if they stayed in the optimization lane and said, science says this, or the YouTube influencers say this, and I need to do this to be optimal, their program would look nothing like its final form. It wouldn't be as enjoyable. It probably would encourage more injury risk, on and on. Here is the point you need to remember, and the final important point. The things you learn from your own training in the gym create optimization rather than whatever science-based or arbitrary opinions are coming out from the lifting world. So if you want to be above 99% of the other lifters, don't try to figure out what optimal is. Go into the gym with reasonable and evolve your training based on what's happening in the gym. After 5 to 10 years, you will have developed an optimal program for you. All right, guys, that's it. If you change your focus on these 7 points from what the gym bros are doing to what we are saying to do in this video, it's going to put you in the top percent of all muscle heads. Trust the process and you will be good to go. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day.